So what we're going to do now is pretty easy actually. We're just going to make use of our agent.ts file again and use this to persist our creation of an activity and send it up to our server. And all we need to do is add this inside our handle create activity. So what we want to do here is we want to say agent.activities.create, and then we can pass in our activity that we're receiving as a parameter here. And then we can say .len, and inside this promise or this callback, what we can do is just cut and paste our set activities, our set selected activity, and our set edit mode inside here. Now, when we create a resource in our API, we're using a command, and our command doesn't return the created resource back to our request. But we don't need it to, because we've got access to the newly created activity, and this is generating a GUID on the client side that we're then sending up to use on our server. So in many ways what we could do is set our activity in advance, then we could create our activity on the server, and if something went wrong then we could catch it and then roll back the changes we've made. But we're not going to do it that way. What we are going to do is stick to creating the resource on the server, waiting for the acknowledgement that this has happened, and then we're going to process these changes on our client side. So what we should be able to see is the effect of this actually working. And let's head back over to our browser, and I'm just going to create a new activity, and I'm going to call it test activity, and test description, and just say food for the category. We'll give it a date of any random dates will do in the future, and a time, and I'll just say test for the city and test for the venue, and I'll click submit, and it goes ahead and creates our activity, and we should see it in our list as well, and we do. But the crucial difference now is that if I refresh my browser, then the test activity has persisted and we've saved this into our database. So now we've got our create activity, what we're going to take a look at next is our editing of an activity. So let's just do the same again for our edit activity, and inside the handle edit activity what we'll do is we'll say agent.activities.updates, and we'll pass in the activity, and then we'll say len, and in the callback what we'll do is just cut and paste in just what we did with our create activity. And if we go ahead and test this, we should find that this works just fine as well. And I'll just view past activity 1, I'll click on edit, I'll just change the title in this case, and click on submit. It looks like our activity's disappeared, but it has been updated and we're looking at the details view. And if I scroll down this list, we can see it inside here as well. And if I refresh the page, then what we'll find is that this has persisted and it's saved back to the database. Let's also do the same thing for the delete method as well. So in our handle delete activity, what we'll do is we'll just say agent.activities.delete, and our delete takes an ID of the activity, and in the len callback what we'll do is we'll just cut and paste our set activities method inside here. And it's as simple as that. And if we go over to our browser, and I'll just refresh the page, and if I click on delete, then we'll see our past activity 11 has disappeared, and if I refresh the page, it's stayed disappeared, which means it's been removed from our database, and that'll be the same for anything else as well. So these are all of our CRUD methods persisting to our database, but the only problem is that everything is happening a bit too quickly. If I make a change, it's pretty much instant that it occurs, which is really good, but is that typical behavior of an API? Normally things take slightly longer than a millisecond to occur when we're taking an action or calling a method on an API across a network. Now, because everything's happening in memory here, we're seeing our changes reflected instantly. But we know that's not normal. So what we'll do next is we'll add some delay into our API requests. And then we'll take a look at adding some loading indicators as well to display whilst we're waiting for something to happen. And we'll take a look at that next.